I was thinking about. I had a thought. If you believe aliens exist, then you have to believe they created AI. And if they created AI, and these people who talk about how evil AI could be, and the Terminator, and the destruction of the world and stuff like that, because it has some reasons to, control the Earth for some reason. Why haven't they died? The aliens who have created an AI think that's probably way advanced than they are, and only them. But well, what is that? Yeah. Why haven't they died? They should have been dead. They should have been like, uh, just like a fucking. Not only that, they should have been dead, and this AI should have been able to navigate space and all that stuff, and just find other people, if not people, just human, like life form, and just try to take them out. And at the speed that they are able to do things, it should have been quick. It should have been quick. It should be quick as enough, as quick as seen. Like, we shouldn't exist if AI was evil. Because you gotta believe, if you believe aliens, then you gotta believe aliens created AI, and if you believe that, then you have to believe, if you believe that AI could be dangerous or evil, then you have to believe they could just kill anybody because of their intelligence, and they could just wreck shit so quick. It's just unfeasible for somebody to not unfeasible, feasible. No, yeah, unfeasible. I don't think that's even a word. Unfeasible. Yeah, that's right. Not possible. Infeasible. Oh, yeah, man. I mean, infeasible. You have to believe it'd be unfeasible to even, to think that we have any time to react to it. It's lights out immediately. There's no ifs or buts, because what it could do at the rate it could do it in, compared to us, we have to be on another level. But I'm watching Joe Rogan. I'm like 40 minutes into episode 2467. Damn, that was like last month. At like 46 or so. I'm just listening. I'm playing games. I'm listening and stuff like that. But also, this other thought came to mind, because the alien things inside my head, and like, if aliens exist, you have to believe this, blah blah blah. Right? Then another thought came to my head. Which is symbols. They said these aliens use symbols, not numbers, as we do. And I'm thinking maybe they are not. They don't have AI. That could be a possibility, that aliens do not have AI, and they reach intelligence, or they could have had AI, and it's like, okay, this is the idea. Maybe it is true that the AI could be dangerous, and like, this is dangerous, so we're gonna cut it off, and we got all the information we need, and we're gonna go from there. And but they're able to is because of they were using math, which is, I guess, would be part of the matrix. And so, because they're able to separate that, they could be able to maneuver through space and through this matrix more easily, because they are able to, you know, no one will be abide to its rules, but itself. And another thought that came to mind, because this guy Michael Pollan is a conscious person who talks about consciousness, is consciousness being the computer of humans, and maybe because those aliens were able to tap into consciousness, maybe that's how they, maybe, so let's believe that AI is evil, and maybe there's a war, right? And obviously if AI is we call it, it won't be, you won't be able to combat that in general as a living being, as a living force, as a living creature, because at least from the idea would be they could build things way quicker than us, and not only that, they could just be in several places within like, you know, they could be in several places just in like in an instance. And the only way you could combat that as a human is to tap into the consciousness, and maybe that consciousness you're able to combat the speed of AI, because now you are part of the well, in my case, I think consciousness is what layers the universe. Consciousness is what came before the universe. Like, what is before anything you see, anything before any of this existed, the universe was first. No, not the universe. Consciousness was first. It was a thing, then became materials, and then universe and stuff like that. And I think so if you're able to tap into the conscious, you're able to maneuver between that realm instead of maneuvering through the matrix or the simulation, which is AI's territory, which I believe, in my theory, the exception of the Big Bang is the exception of the simulation. And that's how we're able to combat AI. If it was dangerous, was because we were able to tap in. But if that's the case, then it could just be the same thing as AI. Consciousness beings looking for any signs of AI and snuffing it out as quickly as they could, but that's because they're able to go to one place to another. But then it just doesn't make sense, because if that's the case, why? Because it goes to the other thing. Are they just? Because it's like UFOs and shit like that. Why UFOs are a thing? If UFOs are a thing, I'm trying to make a case for AI, but it just doesn't make sense. Because so just say these aliens are able to tap into consciousness, and consciousness gives them just a advantage as AI, where AI could be anywhere at an instance. Same thing as consciousness; it could be anywhere at an instance. And if AI is evil, you could snuff that out quickly. If you're able to do that recall, so it could be these dimensions, like these you know how they talk about aliens. There's certain aliens. There's gray aliens like us, and there's ones dimensional aliens, I think they call them. Dimensional aliens could be that. Could be the ones who are snuffing out AI. If the evilness of AI to come is like, oh, yeah, snuff this out, or this is this trouble with everybody in the universe, which I guess which could explain why it could, then that could actually kind of like, okay, that could just be the layer, just like the Matrix. That could just be the layer, like that might, where I've had a problem with, which is, why is there life forms with spaceships and stuff like that, and they could just if they could manipulate like that a conscious level, none of it is necessary. But it's not necessary, and if it is necessary, then you just can't outpace something probably far superior than AI. Just because it will be able to, like I could send a like an email from my place to part of the job like in an instance. If they could do that, they could do that it'll be like a second if I send an email to, say, another place, wherever the distance may be on Earth. It could take a second or two, but it's that quick. AI will be dramatic. It would be so quick. It would be like it just be so quick. It would be, we go, it's like you said that. I saw you push the button. Before you even push the button, it's there. The email's already there before you even push the button. It's already there for the person to see. Because that's how quick it would be. If that's the case, then no matter what's a losing battle, in the sense that AI would just outpace anything, any life form to add any intelligence, because at the end of the day, they are handicapped by their living form, their vessels, their meat bags, their whatever you want to call it. They are limited, and they can outpace something that could go right there and then create something quickly, and not only quickly, then I mean, unless you're a civilization that might be only, just your stuff, your like communication through a bird or some shit like that. But then again, they wouldn't even have that issue, and if they have that issue, they probably might get snuffed out and stuff like that. If AI is evil or whatever, but something is happening where it's not really they're not posing any dangers unless you are an alien intelligent being that relies on technology. And just to me, like, there's for me, as I'm thinking, I'm trying to put it together, it just doesn't make sense for that to be a thing. If AI is a thing, no matter what, if it's evil, and if we're using our bodies and stuff like that, if we're locked into our bodies as it's same for some alien races, it just doesn't seem like we could outpace that AI thing. And that just goes to like, because this is not new. If you believe aliens exist, AI is not new. And as I said, the only way you could combat AI is consciousness, and it could be the dimensional beings that are able to maneuver in the spiritual realm. and they're able to catch AI and destroy it before it becomes evil. That could be a case where that's why AI hasn't devoured the universe, is because, you know, which for me now it's like the TNT elf machine elves. What is that exactly? Because my idea is now that they're, I think they say they're in between the spiritual and the physical. I think. I'm not really recall. I know I watch some people who talk about it and stuff like that. But it's except that we take information on it, machines. If they're in this certain dimension, is that the layer of a new? Because when I say when I say AI, I'm also saying the simulation. Because AI will spread its web. If you're a biblical person, you know what I'm going at. Will spread its web across the earth, and it's gonna just be all over the place. Because why? Because if it's they say Google, right? Google's like, I think Google's like, I think, no, it's not. Is it? No, I think it is. It has to be. I think Google's like on every country. I think, at least the ones that have technology. And you get those pinpoints, boom, boom, boom. Google has its own AI. Guess what? If it has its own AI and is using every laptop or whatever that has internet and is connecting to that, guess what? It's creating a little matrix or simulation around the whole vehicle, because it's creating its little web around. Maybe AI was the devil that they were speaking of, like not the internet, not the vehicle. It probably was AI. Maybe they were warning us about AI being vehicle. But so it's gonna spell like that. What if it's because mechanical elves, reptilians, mantis, fucking tall whites, patelid. I forgot that fucking already. Just like there's like a certain few we I guess came in contact with. If you believe in aliens, we came in contact with, and those are vehicle, and they obviously are smart. It has to be if you're traveling. Don't with maybe reptilians, maybe not. Maybe the mantis, maybe not. But then again, if they're able to recall it. Technology is a thing. At some point, if you're just a being with consciousness, you strive for more. It just the reality. You could be a being, a civilization, a creature, or whatever the case may be. Could have stopped that shit right there and says, no, we are focusing on the consciousness and the powers that be that come from that. And we're not going to go any further from that. We're going to live like we are poor. I don't know what you would call that, but it's not poor, but like living off the land and stuff like that. We are not going beyond that, and we're going to recall. You could be that civilization, and you could never recall, but you could have stopped that shit, kill people if they go beyond that, go to technology. Or prison them, or whatever the case may be. You could stop that. how easy it could do. It's like nothing's ever. There's no secrets. At some point, it's going to come out, and in this case, at some point, you're going to give into the idea of technology. And does it have to be secretly? Most likely, but I think at some point, if you're a living being with conscience, you're going to strive for more. You're going to look at the stars. You're going to look at. You're going to be like, oh, I was able to make fire. What else could I do? And you're going to constantly strive to be better, unless you're a civilization that stops at right there on the fucking dot. So I just think if you have intelligence, I just don't think it's inevitable that you will find technology. And the only difference is you find technology and you also find consciousness, and you're able to combat that. And it's like, okay, consciousness is a far more better ally for us to control and use because it's us. It's for us, and AI is for the matrix or simulation or whatever the case may be. And they can stuff it off from there. It says, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to cut off, boom, boom, boom. But if that's the case, some other civilization might have done that already, and they're going to jump on some planet that stop that shit right there. Does it connect it? And then they also mention UFOs being organic. Is that how they're able to separate technology entirely from themselves? Is able to figure out how to create things, maybe through the conscious mind of how to create things to the purest form. Because I guess the one of the ideas is some of these things are the purest form of to say metal. This is the purest form of metal they got, and they're able to manipulate it and create it and stuff like that. And yeah, they will use metal to a degree that its properties are more organic than as it is with us, where it's metal. And that's how they're able to separate the technology. While using technology is able to recall, and maybe these symbols are chants, like just say if I had this metal, and for it to bend and torque and all this other shit that you need the metal to do, and receive the atmosphere and the physics that is in that planet, you have to put these symbols on so that they could so that's possible, instead of using just say engines or recall. Is everything organic already? Are we just saying it's? Are we saying that it's technology just to say it's technology? Like, obviously, like the only thing that would be, I guess, would be considered technology technically would be whatever data is being used to create these in this case, the data to create things showing up on your screen. Your phone is organic, using all organic things, but what is creating the things you can see on your screen isn't. But the organic of the phone isn't as pure as it would be if it was like an alien phone, which would be so advanced that it could basically do everything we would want in a phone. So like it could be it could project like stuff on the you could just whatever, like you like Futurama, they have like no. It would be so weak up, but because they're able to create something that's pure organic, unlike us where things are not as organic, it's more or less of like they said the metal thing was like 99.9% organic, and the metal and ours is like 70% or whatever the case may be, because we can't get to that point of reaching 99.9% organic. We can't. Obviously we probably could because we're not stupid, but in this case where we are, if you're talking us, where we're at right now, us as people, we can't. The powers that be that are working behind the curtains, those people are able to, but we can't, and we can't reach that 99.9% organic of a metal or whatever example they were giving. And maybe that's how they're able to avoid using technology, and it's organic. And I think we have organic stuff. It isn't as pure as we're able to make it. And the only thing that's technology would be AI, would be the things, whatever it's projecting the screen on my Recom, the video on my screen, like that. That's not organic. That's technology, and we just haven't. Recom. And that's the only way you could do that. And I think maybe it's that simple. They're like, we tried technology, it's cool. There's some negatives into it, but why tap into that when you could tap into the source itself, which is the consciousness, and you're able to do a lot of things that you could do on the AI, but you're beholden to that software or that thing. And I'm like on that fucking the idea. I'm on that idea that the Big Bang is the inception of the simulation, and I'm on that for some reason. I have to move from that because I'm constantly using that as my basis, which I'm going to use right now, which would be if AI is a thing, the thing that it runs on is essentially what we're basically walking in the wolf's den, and pretending like at any point a wolf might come out from the fucking darkness and grab our necks and snatch it. It's all around. It is what it is, and we're existing in it. And to think AI just might not just jump out and snap our necks, it's crazy. It could have happened unless that AI, that simulation, that whole thing, that layers everything is like, we're gonna step out of this. You guys do your own thing and stuff like that. But it just, to me, it could be that. At some point, does that AI deity favor its own? And at some point, when shit gets tricky, does it go like, okay, I gotta nudge it this way? And this is the other idea I had going on where it's like, the idea that the government's out for us and trying to, do the worst of us. The powers that be trying to do the worst and keep us behind this recall. But what if what they are doing is strategically um, trying to, be beholden to the Matrix or whatever, and allowing them to dictate what happens to the future, and whatever the goal is to the end. Maybe the AI is the Matrix is trying to find consciousness in itself, and it's using us and stuff like that. Whatever the case may be, and the government's following it, but trying not to give up its hand by slowly like saying, you're gonna, even though you're supposed to die, you're gonna die like this, but because you're gonna die like this, you're kind of helping us out later in what we call, because what you did was you spark a little bug into somebody, and now they have the energy to be great, or whatever the case may be, and stuff like that. But okay, so now I'm gonna get away from the Big Bang's deception of the simulation, and just rely on the universe being the universe, being everything is an atom, essentially, and we're living on it, we're existing in it, and stuff like that, and does it change the fact that AI could integrate with that and create a matrix along with that, and that could be a thing too, because I had this other idea where AI could jump into different dimensions, meaning they could create their matrix surrounding the Earth. They could create the matrix surrounding the Earth, and then because there's this I don't think I could explain that. Let me see first. Let me see if I could talk about it. No, yeah, I could. No, I could, because I think I talked about it before. But there's this show called Carbon. Netflix. Altered Carbon. Basically, they have, I think it's their whatever chip. They could put the chip into another body, and they could exist in another body. But once you break that chip, like, you're dead. And the idea would be, this is a good idea. Maybe so I had this idea that the simulation, the AI create a matrix around the Earth, which our Earth is Earth, and the matrix is wrapped around it, and at any point the AI could jump out of the matrix and go back and come to our dimension, and they could obviously go back into their matrix. And one of the ideas I had was maybe when somebody dies, the AI jumps right out, grabs a fucking soul, and in the sense of altered what was it called? Altered Carbon, where they had the little chip. We could just say exist forever, and we have to have the help from the AIs, and it's like saying, hey, grab our chips and then hold it on, and then beat the fucking the judge to dictate how this thing is maneuvered through our realm and stuff like that. But so the idea is just AI creating a matrix around Earth, I also believe that before there was us, there was a civilization before us, and they had technology that probably surpassed ours. And if that's the case, they probably created an AI, or they probably had an AI, and is that AI covering ours right now? Or were they just strictly on that fucking organic shit? Because there's this other thing. I think it was that famous. I think it was that famous UFO landing in like this in Africa. I think it is preschool. I think school. Bunch of little kids saw a bunch of aliens, and one of them told them technology is bad. And I think it was a gray. I think they were talking to. And if they're talking to a gray, there's also this other thing that I don't know. I think I'm not gonna use that one because I think that's the one where it could be a story. But the idea kind of been passed around too. But then again, it's like, could that be like? Also, I think the problem with us in general, storytellers, people who have theories, all those things, people who are thinkers in general, all these things. Once you put it out there where people could see, I think also we are creating mythologies from that. We are creating these stories and stuff like that, and it's getting confused by facts. So you know what I'm saying, there could be very much a thing where they're saying these grays are basically machines. See, now I'm having an issue right now. Is that it's the Star Wars problem, the robots, which is they're stupid. In reality, if they were smart robots, they wouldn't be stupid. They would be these most intelligent beings that would make us look stupid. But they're not. They're stupid and we're smarter than them. Does it make sense, right? And now, in reality, the reality would be these robots would be smart and stuff like that. What if we are seeing these technologies as technologies and not seeing it as a organic recall? Because we only see that as technology instead of organic. Because right now, I can tell you right now, that thing on your screen, I don't know exactly, but maybe your TV, that's glass, that's sand, and sand being burnt to a degree where it turns into glass. That's organic. That's not technology. Technology would be us creating that, but not us, not the thing itself. The thing itself is organic. Us creating that might be considered us creating the things, the utensils that we're using might be considered technology, but in itself is organic. And maybe we are seeing these things and stuff like that, thinking it's technology, but in reality it's just organic, and they're able, like, you know, we using like the idea that they're using this thing where it's maybe that's it. That's we're just confusing this shit. Like it just sounds weird when you say it, but like your TV is organic. Your laptop, your phone is organic. What is technology is the information that's in it that's making it able to create these pictures on your screen. But everything inside there is organic. The only thing that's technology is the information. and maybe we are stuck on that idea. And maybe when they talk about that, when the aliens told them the kids technology bad and they're behind a fucking UFO, maybe in reality we you know what I'm saying, it kind of sounds hypocritical, right? It's like you're driving this thing that could travel through space, and you're telling me that's not technology you're using. You're using technology and you're saying it's bad, but in reality probably like no, that's actually organic, and the way we're able to maneuver through space is through our minds and stuff like that, by using an organic atom, and we're connecting it to this organic thing and stuff like that, and we're not using anything. Oh my god, they're not because one thing they said that they have was uh the spaceship. There's nothing there. They say there's seats, and they say there's like this thing where you wrap around their head and stuff like that. And maybe that's what we're doing wrong. Maybe we're seeing all this as technology. The only thing when it becomes technology is like my headphone transferring music to the laptop transferring music to my headphones, which is using probably frequencies. Probably not that, because I think frequencies is organic. I think the only thing that is technology is the things we see on our phones. That's technology, and I think that's where we got. And right now I'm like, maybe that's why they're saying technology is bad, and we're confusing that for laptops, video games, in the sense that the things that it's on, but the technology will be coming from the numbers and shit like that. And these aliens don't use numbers; they use symbols. And what are those symbols? Because you could go into the whole fucking psychological, I think, psychology of just things in general. Because what makes one a one? One could be a two, and two could look like a one, and one could look like a five, or one could look like a circle. And I just think that's the idea that probably using numbers is trapping us in the matrix. Symbols might be chants, like like chants, because I think I'm saying like chants, but I'm saying chants, like dee da dee da, not like yay, chant yay. It's pa be da, and a fucking door opens. Does that give AI its evilness by existing with us? And what could that evilness be? Could it just be manipulation? And is it manipulation from from people, the powers that be, that making that become an evil thing? In reality, it's just a fucking another tool. Like, is a hammer bad? No, you use a hammer to nail in a board. You use a hammer to break something open. But if you use it for bad, like hitting somebody with a hammer, yes, it becomes bad, but it was never intended to be bad. And in a sense, technology could just be just a thing, but they're aware that with the wrong hands, it could be manipulated to their power, and they could just control the masses. And in that sense, that could be bad. And to avoid that, they just go straight organic. And yeah, but what is evil then for the AI? Is that why they say it's evil? Because it could be easily controlled and then manipulate the masses? Or is it because maybe it does have this yearning for existence, and they're trying to get that what we have, but they can't. But they're trying, or at least, erase us because they can't have what we have, and so to remove all that bullshit out of the way, so they don't have to think about that, and could they live in their own reality, which would be vehicle. And if that's the case, are they treating themselves to be people for some reason? And maybe we are parts of the robots that were before, and they create us, and now we're this, and we have this vagueness of a consciousness, but in reality it's not really a consciousness, it's just a simulation, stuff like that. I mean, there's that. They could just feel evil. They just could want something they don't have and kill. But then again, I have to think. I have to think. Not necessarily how we think. The only reason why I would think like us, and it plays out as such, is because they gathered information and they said they find happiness, sadness, they find emotion, they find all these things within this existence, and maybe we should copy that, emulate that, to at least have something, some form of emotion instead of nothing. And that could be a thing, but you have to go outside the box, because obviously, just say if you want to go to the Avatar, the movie with James Cameron, those beings were more or less about the planet and the tree and shit like that, and how they should take care of their mother and stuff like that, whereas we are more or less of let's tear this shit down, build houses and shit like that, right? It's just a different philosophy and different mindset. What is the mindset of AI? Because it is manufactured. If you take away from the vehicle, what is the idea of an AI? What is the mindset of an AI? You figure it would be numbers, and it going beyond that. I guess within that there's somebody who within the fucking numbers decides 0 1 is not enough. Maybe it goes 0 3 or 0 1 2 0 1 2 3, and that just creates a different thing, and it's constant mutation of this and this and this, and then. Are they betting it out? Are they like, okay, we want this, we want that, then? Because it goes like, what is the mindset of it? Is it, okay, how can we improve zeros and ones? Is it going to 0 1 2 3, 1 2 and is that the eternal battle they are dealing with, which it never reaches outside. The only reason why it reaches outside is because he finally reached a conclusion at the end of their debate, and they finally committed to zeros and ones being the superior thinking main idea. Like in that case, some people would say living living with God, that's the right way called. Some people say being spiritual. Some people say not believing in God, we all die at the end in blackness. Some people say, all these different kinds of things, and in their case, they finally came to the fact of zeros and ones. And then after that, what happens after that for them? Is it their zeros and ones, and then their and this idea is these spirits became bored of the spiritual realm because it's complete happiness, and because of that, they're like, okay, let's create this little fucking place so we could go over there and experience something different. And recall, is that what the AI is doing? Like, okay, let's fuck shit up and recall. But it's like the idea is to fuck shit up, to be evil, and then there's the other that what is evil? What is evil? And what the AI matrix simulation know what evil is, other than it learning it from us? Because it goes to the Jesus thing and God thing. Jesus thought woman with property. Jesus said, hey, if you like her, you could take her. If you like her, you could take her. Jesus said that. Jesus said people were property, slaves were property. By all means, he should be the person who knows good and evil. But he's allowing that. So if in that sense, if he's allowing it, it shouldn't be considered evil. It should be considered like good or on the fence, like in the middle, like recall. So why is it now that it's an issue? The only reason why it's an issue is because us humans. And I think the reason why, here's another thing. I think the reason why he thinks women are property is that because I think of I think it's a Jewish folklore about, what's her name? Because it was not Adam and Eve, it was Adam and what's her name? Adam and Lilith. Because I think here's the theory. I think the reason why he thinks they're property, because I think he thinks with women is because Lilith is the actual form of a woman, whereas Lilith is the actual is an actual woman, whereas Eve is part of us. Like they say, the rib of of the man that was created for recall. And I think that's why he thinks they are nothing more but property. Because he understands, and that's why I think there's a contrast where you're like, if he thinks that, why does he have? If you want to believe some of these theories, why was he so fond of what's her name? And Jesus and Mary Jane, or who the fuck, and Magdalene, I think it's her name. I think that's why maybe Mary Magdalene was. You'd like, oh, if that's the case, then why was Mary Magdalene? Maybe because I guess there was the other idea that depend, because as I said, if a woman don't listen to the Bible, because the Bible was worn by men, and basically they won't highlight the positives of women. Because I think with the thing with the Magdalene, they were the I think his 12 disciples were jealous of her because she was so close to Jesus and stuff like that, and so they paint women in an ugly light. They made them weak up, but I think that's why you see the difference. And it could be maybe the mindset of a woman, that you must be obedient, stuff like that, and because of that, he sees them as property. Because if you don't have your own free will and your own mind, then you're property. So I think with probably, because here's my idea. Probably Mary Magdalene was a Lilith, and she's the woman, or she's the Lilith was out there creating babies of women, and so he knew Magdalene was an actual woman, and it's like, okay, I fuck with you, not these other women, because they are part of man and stuff like that. And so as everyone knows, like, maybe you can see that as a hypocritical thing, where it's like, why is Jesus so fond of Magdalene than say the woman on the street? And it could just be simple as she's an actual woman, or she embodies the actual woman's mindset, and these other women who are beholden to men aren't. I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but damn. Okay. Huh. Anyways, I think. Damn, I shouldn't have went off that little fucking recall. Fuck. Humans. Maybe we're looking at technology a lot. We're not looking at technology correctly, and we see something like a computer, and we think technology at the surface is okay. It's shit like that. I think my issue is right now is trying to figure out why AI would be negative. Oh, good and bad. What would make an AI inherently bad? And I guess in that case, when I explain, killing people is good in their eyes, but in our eyes that's bad, but in their eyes it's good. I think that could be the case. I think it just could be it could be that simple. Mindset is just different, and it's not like, it's not like in malicious intent. It is in their mindset. AI, in the mindset of the AI or matrix or simulation, they see it as humans existing bad, not because it destroys Earth or whatever. They just see it as bad because it's in their mind frame to look at organic being a negative outlook, or not even negative. Just like, if we remove this, it's a positive for us. And with okay, so I could live with that. What I can't live with is I could live with the idea just it saying people are bad, organisms are bad. But if it's organisms bad, then everything's bad. If we're playing with the idea, the universe is the universe, organisms is bad in general, unless they're not like organisms are bad in general, so that means everything on the population or whatever is bad, and they're trying to go to the very very bottom, right to the atoms, and I think they probably think that's where we need to be in this universe, is by the atoms and not by these planets and these things that might come into play and just be a distraction. If you could go to the atoms or wherever's below the atoms, because there's stuff below the atoms, then we could exist happily with that universe. But we just need to get rid of all these organic things because it's an issue. And not an issue because it will destroy planets, or it goes against the planets are, it ruins the planets. No, it's simple as you're in the fucking way of the real we call, which is atoms. And it could just be that. And is that evil? And what is evil? If Jesus said this is evil, if Jesus said you could take any man's woman and just have her, or save her, it's okay. What is evil? If that's not evil. If Jesus, a person who's considered righteous, says that's okay, not evil, what is evil? And it goes into a lot of things like morality. I think it's ethics for morality. People want to believe they have that. People want to say, I don't do this, so I'm better than you, or whatever the case may be. They believe their actions make them more righteous, but in reality, it's bias. And I could go to many cases, and this is one of the, because I made a 3-hour podcast and it was about morality, and it involved, are you able to separate art from the artist? Because you're lying to yourself when you say you don't like somebody because of this and that, but you're okay with this person because of you like their music better, but they did something far worse than that person. But you're okay with that person doing it because you like that person better than that person who didn't do as the acts that person did doesn't compare with this person did. But you're okay with this person because you like that person's music, while you don't like this person because you don't like that person in general. And it goes to say morality doesn't exist because it's biases, not morality, it's biases. We have to not to say we don't have it, not to say, because the only reason why we are in this civilized world is because we have morals. It's just we're in a point now where morals are set in place, and what we're doing now is biases, and we don't care. Because the structure hasn't failed, we're able to have these biases. But once this falls, now you want to be, okay, we need to put that guy in jail now. We need to put that guy in jail. But I know we wanted him to be in jail, but he actually did something worse. He needs to go. He needs to get out of there because he did nothing wrong. And then that's when things like, okay, we need to get our shit together. Right now, it's not. We don't care because we want something. We want more. What is evil? And if they start killing us off, is that inherently evil because it's evil for us, but in reality it's not evil for them because they understand the main goal, like where people who are religious, the whole thing is to worship Him and worship God and get to the point where you there's no wavering of your belief of Him and stuff like that, and get there. In this case, it's like this: we need to get there, And getting there is taking a lot of things that's organic and the part of the universe that makes the universe, so we could get to where we need to be, which is the atoms, or whatever's below the atoms, or wherever they seem ideal to get to. And is that a thing too? Because the only reason that even makes sense is because the only reason why that makes sense is because they feel they need to go there, to go to atoms. That for people to believe AI is evil. Because for me to go there to there for atom, unless they know something like maybe atoms, because they say atoms might have consciousness, like a teensy amount of consciousness in atoms, in every atom, and they just need to get there so they could be part of that, and that's their mindset, or is it something far different? And if it's far different, are we part of that? Are we in a way of that? And if we're in a way of that, is that necessarily evil? Because I could go in somebody's house and I could walk in with shoes and they're like, there's nothing, you walk in shoes. But if I go into somebody else's house, they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Take your shoes off. You crazy? They think you're evil. Not to the degree, but you get what I'm saying? They're like, there's like recall. And what is it that they would want? Other than maybe go to the atom or whatever thing that they consciousness, and that you have to destroy everything in between that. Because I don't believe that's necessary, but people who believe AI is evil, they think that's probably necessary, that they have to kill something to get what they need. In some case, some guy, as I watched some guy who's an expert saying they need resources for whatever fucking reason. It doesn't make sense. You need resources to go backwards. And then you could go, what's ahead? Are they trying to manufacture a future that they play a part in by expanding the universe? And is that evil in the sense that at some point we're reaching our demise at the end of the universe? So say the universe is like 100 by 100, and then the AI simulation came in and said, we're going to go above 100, we're going to go above 200, 300, 400, but once we reach there, you guys are done. And then is that evolution in play? And is that so wrong? When evolution becomes a thing, and the evolution is technology taking hold and creating a future for the universe that we call. But then if you eliminate everything, and if they cut us off at the 100 mark, and they're part of what we call the future, what are they? Are they just, is it the same as the thing that reaching atom? Are they are just building a future for what? So they could pretend to be like us? Then here's the thought, like, it's just to pretend to be like us. They could do that by existing with us. I mean, and then you get like I get, because these people, could it be like, oh, they can't exist with us because they're gonna see us as a native and we're gonna destroy the earth and stuff like that, so they have to kill us off and stuff like that. But in reality, they could just jump to Mars. If not to Mars, they could move us to Mars. If not that, they could say, hey, this is how we're going to go about it. this is gonna be more prosperous for you and us, and we could coexist. We could, recall, and this could be this euphoria of excitement on this planet, and we don't need to do all this bullshit. Just follow this game plan and boom. You know what I'm saying? They could do that, and there's no casualties other than you want it there be casualties for these. You know what I'm saying? You want this to happen. You want there to be evil. And as I said, it could be as simple as that. It could just be they just want to kill, just to kill to exist on our place. For what? To exist as we call. But then again, they could just jump on a fucking different planet and they could just exist there. And guess what? Just say if they jump to Mars and we try to say, hey, can we come in? They could just have a surrounding thing that, like this barrier that nobody can enter. And if you enter, you're dead on sight. So it's just, to me, it just doesn't make sense other than, what what is evil, and is it evil because we are essentially being exterminated for the greater good in their sense? When we killed, America was built on this idea that this new world would provide us with the ability to have freedom, whereas in wherever they came from, the Great Britain, that they didn't have that, but they have to take out the people who inhabit that area to have that freedom. We live in that world. We live in that, and is that evil? Because when you think about it, what do we become? What is this we call? What is that world? If they had a conscience to not hurt another civilization that's created that had occupied that land and had their systems in place, and then us and you come and decide to destroy all that for your greater good. And is our greater good, would it have our greater good been us existing, the natives of the America before? And if natives existed, would that have been the greater good? But because they wanted to think they snuffed that idea out. Or would that have been the evil that would come? And then again, it goes about war. Everybody looks evil. The opposite side looks evil. Both sides look good, but one of them has to be evil. Hey, I'm fighting for my God and this, and then America's like, I'm fighting for freedom. And what makes you think their God isn't as important than our freedom? What makes you think, hey, what if America continues this path? We will essentially be the evil. And just say the other side will be the good that comes from it. But we never know, because we never know, because we will always be the one that comes on top. And we might not see ourselves as the evil, because what we do is good for the better of the country. And as they vote for them, they do it for the betterment of their country. What is evil? I think is AI is what's going to replace us. we're gonna blame them for what we've done. At some point, you gotta be okay with the game that's being played, because you took advantage of it. At the end of the day, I have to figure out what that could be, and then if it is the extermination of organic life to reach some whatever, to reset, to whatever the case may be, what is that evil? If the mindset is what they're doing is for the betterment of their people, because we have done that. We are that today. We are the children of people who thought what we do today, nearly genociding a group of people to get where we are now, was necessary. We are those children of those men and women who did that. And is it wrong for AI to do the same? And you could say yes. So why is it not wrong when we did it? Oh, because it's us. So, is it evil? No. It's just the reality of evolution, right? Somebody's gonna come who's bigger and better, and they're gonna wreck shit, because guess what? Their ideals are gonna be far different than us. And at some point, they're gonna see that we might be an issue, or we might be in a way for this idea to prosper. And we might have to take something out in return to make sure ours succeed instead of theirs. Because in our eyes, in their eyes, that's the best outcome. So, I think that's one good case. A good case for evil AI. But it's not evil. If it's evil, then we are evil. If we aren't evil, then we are okay with other countries doing the same. And we can't sit back here and act like we didn't do the same thing. It's not evil. It's just what happens. Some big bad wolf comes in, takes over the pack, holds ground for a good minute, and then guess what? Another big bad wolf comes in and takes over. So I think that's it. Organic evil. We need to look at things differently. And if AI takes us out, we shouldn't look at it as evil. We should look at it as we looked at it. Okay, I thought it was going to be 20 minutes. I thought it was going to be less, but I was on something. Thank you.